Hi, this is Rachelle Scrapcraftastic, and I am back to work on our composition notebook coffin-shaped journal. I kind of lost interest in this, but my interest has been revived because I came up with a whole other idea. I was inspired by this journal that we made. I'll link to it in the iCard up above. This is also available at the time of this recording. It's available in my shop at Scrapcraftastic. The paper is beautiful. It's from the Pinkaboo pad from Michael's from several years ago. And this is what it looks like. Again, if you want more details, check out the video in the iCard up above. But that has kind of lit my fire and inspired me to move forward with this. Now, I did not record this part of the process. This is the back inside cover. I pretty much used the same base that I used for this front piece. So if you saw that video, it's basically the same as this. The only difference is I didn't add the doors. Instead of doors, I used 2-inch strips, rounded the corners on 3 of them, well, all 3 of them, and then added a piece of acetate to make the pocket. So I kind of hinged the acetate onto the base with those 2-inch strips. This isn't real acetate. This is actually, I think it's 5mm laminate, just sealed with nothing in it. Because I don't have acetate, acetate's expensive. This is heat resistant, so if I wanted to emboss on it or something like that, I could. So I'm just good with using the laminate pouches. I've been using them for a while. And then this is the pocket. So that's what it looks like with something down in the pocket. And that will be the inside back cover. And that's pretty much it for what I'm going to do on the inside. I'm going to leave it as a simple journal. But I did think that the outside was going to be so plain. And even if I did a wrap cover, it just, I don't know, I felt like that would be in the way. So I came up with another idea, another bright idea. I'm thinking of making this part of a larger book. Now, I'm not sure that I'm making this big enough. I measured this and I came up with doing the book at 7.5 by 10.5. That's pretty big for me. The composition book Coffin is a little large in itself, so it's going to need something big. I could have went 8.5 by 11, but I don't know if I want to go that big. I don't know. It's not too late. I could change. Let's see. So this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's only minimally larger. I do think that does look better. So I may cut some more pieces and make it 8.5 by 11. What this is cardboard. It's corrugated cardboard. I don't usually use this. I've only used it one other time for a cover, and I'm still working on that journal actually, but it is more lightweight. And since the composition book is pretty hefty, it's got some weight on it, and it's basically just the paper with a few pieces of cardstock. It's got some weight. I wanted something that could hold that weight, and I think cardboard would be better than chipboard, maybe in this instance. Also, by the time I add the layers for the cover and put everything together, it should be nice and sturdy. But I think I am going to go back and cut 8.5 by 11 pieces if I can. I'm pretty sure I got this from the Dollar Tree back in the day. This is one of those display boards like you see at the science fairs. It's like 3 pieces, and it sits like this, and then there's a piece in the back. Hopefully you know what I mean if you're a student and you had to do a display at science fair or some other type of display. That's what this is. I cut it up. It was a little damaged, and I couldn't use it for what I was using it for previously. So I may save these pieces for another journal. This was the spine that I cut. It's 2 inches, and I did all of this like at midnight last night when I had the idea. I just couldn't sleep, and I got up and came in here, and I was like, at least I can cut everything and get that ready. But this is a 2-inch spine. I'm rethinking this also. I think I may need 3 inches because by the time my little pocket, which is 1 inch, and whatever I put on the front cover and whatever I put over this, is going to add more width to this. So I'm thinking I need to go bigger with the spine, with the base, with the everything. Anywho, so that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to recut this. I made this for the journal, say if this is what I go with, to slide down into this pocket. So it's going to have its own little pocket here. And it would be mounted onto the inside cover of this book. I would also have some pieces either coming over from the top and the bottom or side to side to hold this in place. Probably top and bottom makes more sense. That way when you pick up the book, the journal won't just slide out. And of course this will be closed at the bottom, sealed at the bottom, so it won't fall out the bottom either. This is 110-pound paper. What I did to make this is I used our template that we use for this, the same chipboard template. See, I put the template on the paper like this on the 110-pound cardstock from Michaels, and I added a 1/4 inch on each side. Then after I did that, I added 1 inch for the boxed area for the width of the journal. So here, this part, I added 1 inch, and then 1 inch for the piece that's going to mount to the inside cover of the book. I wanted it to have plenty to hold on to, and I may even come back and add a closure piece and make this a complete box that I'm going to add to the inside cover of the book. I want this to hold up and stay in place. I don't know if I'm going to maybe put something on the inside here to reinforce that. Not sure. I may even go that far with it because I really want this to be secure and hold on. And being that this is pretty hefty, I need security. Okay, I'm rambling on. Then I did the same thing on the bottom, 1 inch and 1 inch. That made this about 5 3/4 in height. So that's how I came up with this shape. So all I need to do, I think, is cut here. I wasn't sure about what I need to cut. I don't know if I need to cut this way or this way. So I kind of got this idea from a box making video that I saw. The box that I saw was a little bit different from this. Oh, let's just take a chance real quick. If I have to redo it, I just have to redo it. So I'm going to cut here. Do I need to cut all the way up? I hope this is not a mistake. And then that's going to fold over like that and make a box. But I needed a tab over here too. This is so confusing. Oh, I hope I'm not making a whole mess. At least the other side will be right if I mess this side up. So this goes like this. That's going to go like that. And that'll hold on the inside. Okay, I think I did it right. So I'll work on that. I'm going to go ahead and cut my other pieces at 8.5 by 11 and see if I like that better. Because this just seems a little crowded. So by the time I put this on here, it's going to be even closer to the edge. Yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so I did do something wrong on this. When I scored it, I scored this part at an angle. I shouldn't have scored it at an angle. So I went back with my ruler on this side and just went straight down. I'm going to do the other side the same way. Once I do that, let's see if I can line it up. So I should have went straight instead of at an angle here. So I'm just going to use the ruler and my tool here to score this paper. This is heavy paper, so it takes a bit to get a good score. And since I had already scored it, it's a little more stiff, difficult to fold right there. So this one I pretty much worn out. Luckily, that's going to be on the back and on the inside. So I can cut this the same way, because I think this needs to be cut off completely. I don't even need that part. Let me try again, make sure. Yes, I don't need this part. So I'm going to trim that off slightly outside of the score line. Ooh, I hope I'm not making a mess. Do the same thing here. All right. Oh, and then I need to cut these bits. right to the new score line instead of all the way like I did it before. So that's going to go like that. That's going to go like that, and that'll wrap around like that. And so I just glue those pieces down on the inside. So that's what that will look like. So this goes like this. And this goes like this. There's our box. Looks pretty decent on that side. And then this will sit down in there like that. And it'll have a little extra room to grow. Okay, so there we go with that. All right, let me go cut my 8.5 by 11s and see what we're working with from there. Okay, so I am back. My mom called and I kept working while I wasn't recording, so I'm going to catch you up to where I am. So I had this extra, it's very lightweight, flimsy chipboard. It was some packaging from something, so I saved things like this. It was already 8.5 inches in height, so I trimmed it to 3 inches wide. I was thinking originally that I would glue these together to make the spine, but I may do a spine similar to what I did in the Peekaboo Coffin journal. So I'm going to hold off on gluing those together, but hopefully I can use this to make the spine. All right, so I did use some Dollar Tree felt. Let me turn this over so I can show you. I cut the 8.5 by 11 pieces of cardboard. Then I'm going to show you here. I lightly glued, just with a glue stick, a piece of white felt. Then when I put the fabric over it, I felt like you could see the white felt through the fabric. So I happen to have some black felt, and I just put that on top of the white felt. I wanted it to be more cushiony, and I probably should have used some batting, but I think this will be fine. So we got white felt that I got from Dollar Tree, black felt that I got from Dollar Tree. All right, on top of the cardboard. Then I have this black fabric that's got lint all over it. I guess I'll just go over it with the lint roller once I get it glued down. I ironed it so it'll be nice and flat. And this is what I'm going to use to cover the front and back covers. Okay, so there is that. Now I initially was thinking maybe I should go get some fancier fabric for this, but no. I'm going to try and use what I have, budget friendly. This black fabric, it was a small bolt. I don't remember how much was on it, but it was a good amount that I picked up from Walmart. So Walmart does have fabric in the craft section if your store actually has a little craft section. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to cover this with. Now I do have some lace and trims and things in my stash. I kind of wanted to do a layering of this lace, but this lace has like a purpley color to it that I'm not fond of. It's also got like this sheer thing going on. So I don't know. Why does everything have lint on it? Jeez. And it's got little bits and pieces from when I cut the felt, I think. All right, so I was thinking that maybe I could layer this on, but I don't really like the way that color difference is. Can you see that? It kind of looks purpley. I guess that could be considered vampire-ish, but I don't know. So for now, I'm just going to hold off on this. And then I have some other small little pieces. If I decide to use those, I can just glue them on. Now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to add this to this. Do I want to just run over this with my glue stick? Or do I just stretch it over and not worry about gluing that? I think I'm just going to stretch it over. I don't think I need to glue it. Let me lay this out like so. So I think I'm going to do my corners like this. I don't think it works great when you miter the corners like you do with paper. It doesn't work that great with fabric. I did miter the corners on the felt. I left the felt a little wider, the black felt, because I want it to be a little cushiony on the edges too. I did miter that so that it wouldn't be too much bulk on the corners. I think I should go around and do the corners first. This is what I did when I did the Christmas planner that I made. That's how I did the fabric there. So I think we're going to do the same thing here. I do not want to deal with that fabric tack in this fabric, so I'm going to try and tack the corners down with, I have to look at the name every time, art glitter glue, because the name just doesn't really make sense to me. So, and that's seeping through too. Maybe I should try the glue stick. It won't really matter because that little part is going to be covered eventually. But let's see. This glue stick does work really well with fabric. Look at that. So maybe we'll just do the glue stick. But pulling it as tight as I can, making sure that it sticks, and try to get some nice sharp corners. Put a little too much glue on that side, and then just touching it up with a little fabric tack. It's just that some of these other glues that aren't necessarily meant for fabric and textile stuff work so much better than the glue that's meant for them. I always felt like I was doing something wrong when I wouldn't use fabric tack to glue fabric. It's just, I'm gonna quit complaining about the fabric tack, okay? I'm just saying. It's in the name, fabric. But it's not very good. This is the front. And then this is the back. Of course, I'm going to decorate this, but let's get the basics done. So this is the back. Then this bit will sit on here like so. Hope I didn't mess up my... So it's going to sit like that. Alright, so the covers are pretty dry now. Unfortunately, we have little rounded corners. I did look on Amazon to see if I could find some corners, book corners that I could use, and I may have some that are big enough for this. I know the ones that I got from Temu are too small, but this is what they look like. They're nice and soft, a little cushiony. I have the beginnings of the spine here, and I was trying to repurpose something, upcycle something, but my collection of chipboard and packaging, I didn't have anything big enough. So, well, the chipboard is big enough, but I felt like it was too stiff for what I want. I'm going to use this poster board, which is from the Dollar Tree. I got it back when things were only $1, so good deal, to do what I want to do, which is use it for as a base of the inside covers. So maybe I still have 4 in here. I don't know if I've already used some, actually. That's how long I've had it. So if you see those in Dollar Tree, they do come in handy. I've used it for other things. It's better than trying to deal with a giant piece of poster board. And I probably could have used this for the spine too. So you got a matte side and a kind of like a semi gloss side. You know how poster board is. So I think this is how I want to do this. I don't want to get too close to the edge. Let me just do 8 1/4. And then if I need to trim it some more, I can. It's not going to affect the other piece because. Alright, so yeah, I think that's good. Let's take another 1/8 of an inch off. Alright, and then 5/8. And then I need to go to the other one and make it 5/8, just in case, because the paper that I'm going to add to it will wrap around. So that's going to add some more thickness to it. So many things I have to consider. So I have to consider that additional paper that's going to wrap around. Did I cut this crooked? I think I did. All right. There we go. I think that's a pretty good size. Let's see. Okay, so that's my base. I can build the inside covers on these. Now let me get the other piece. Let's see if we can cut this one a little more efficiently. All right. So we're going 8 1/8. And then 10 5/8. I don't think this paper was cut straight to begin with. I need to start checking that to make sure that what I'm using is cut straight off from the beginning, because there's some strange things going on here. And I know this paper trimmer doesn't always cut the best, but there's some strange goings on. Okay, also I already dyed the fabric that I'm going to use for the spine. I did that in another video. I will link to it in the iCard up above if you want to see how I dyed it. I just want to mention that I did do a little work on this on the other channel. So let's see, I guess my hands are not as red as they were. So yeah, I did dye the fabric red. All right. So that is good, that is good, that is good. Okay, so I'm going to use this black cardstock, and also I'm testing to see what my audio sounds like with me leaving this fan on, because I'm hot and I have to keep turning the fan off when I turn the camera on. to record, and it's just really hot. So might have a little strange audio for a bit till I can see how this sounds. But I just want to bring you along on this part of the process. And I did check this paper. I didn't check the width, but the length was a little longer than 11. I had to trim it. So, okay, so I found the center here. I found the center of my spine. I'm going to line those up. I guess I'll turn it this way so I can see it. Line that up. And there's another way to do this, but I think this is probably a little more accurate for what I want to do. This is where I need to score. So if I wanted to do it another way, I could have just put it on here. I know my spine is 3 inches, and then I could have scored at 1.5 inch on either side of the center. However, I wanted to allow for maybe the thickness or my spine being a little bit off. And it looks like I did the right thing because it is a hair different. So let's go ahead and score here. Is that even straight? And then score here. Yeah, I bet this Michael's paper is crooked. Alright, so if I do there, then I'm going to come over 1/4 inch next to that one. This is very similar to what I did on the Pinkaboo Pastel Coffin Journal. Very similar. Then we're going to go 1/4 inch here. Okay. So then we fold it this way. And then on the 1/4 inch bit, we fold it back. Okay. So this is what it looks like. See if I can get it so you can see it. Okay. And this bit goes like this, and this goes back like, oop, come on, keep it straight. Probably should use the ruler. This, that don't even look like a whole 1/4 inch. This ruler is on its last leg. Okay. I think this goes on here like this. Fabric goes underneath. This goes on top. And then this piece goes inside. I'm just thinking of how to reinforce this. I'm using fabric, so I guess that'll be fine. That's all I need. Okay, so this is the base of our spine. And then the covers will connect on either side. This is the back one, like this, right? And then it'll be like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare the outside of the spine. I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did for the covers as far as adding the felt pieces. So I'm just going to use the glue stick to stick this down. And I was considering doubling this because I may not need this other piece, but I'm going to see how it is without doubling it, and maybe I can use the other piece on the inside if I need to. So before I do too much trimming on this, I am going to let that dry up a little bit. Then I'm going to take the spine piece that we started, and I'm going to cover that with the regular black fabric. I hope this is big enough. It's almost big enough. I could easily just trim off that little excess. So I'm going to glue this to this. Since most of it will be covered, I'm going to go ahead and risk it with the Fabri-Tac. It's coming through. And I'm just going to go down that spine area for lack of a, or gusset. Let's call it a gusset. I'm not doing Fabri-Tac anymore. Let's go ahead and trim this up. So this is going to go here. Okay, so I'm back. I did do a little work without you all because it's the weekend and I keep taking breaks, and I was watching Peter Mon and I didn't have my earbuds in, so I didn't want to record. But I took the 2 pieces of poster paper and I've mounted them with some cardstock from this paper pad. This is Die Cuts with a View. 12 by 12. I got this a while ago, like back when Twilight was a thing. Yeah, it's copyright 2013, but I'm pretty sure I got it well after that. But that's kind of what it was reminiscent of at the time. It's called Dark Romance, Die Cuts with a View. And this paper is treated. It has a treatment on it, so it's kind of plasticky. And let's see. This goes this way. I gotta keep them going the right direction. Right, let me do that. Okay, and then this is the back, right? Yep. Okay, so I just glued the paper onto the, what's it called, poster board. I was going to wrap it, but because the paper is treated, I felt like it was going to be a problem to wrap it because the poster board is kind of thin. This paper, the scrapbook paper, is almost as thick as the poster board. So I just glued it on here and then trimmed off the excess. I have this old dye ink pad that's dried up so much that I can't use it with stamps, but it does work for inking edges. So I've been trimming right here. So I'm just taking this dried up stamp pad because it works and just going around the edges, giving it that dark edge, making sure I don't have any white edges showing like that. Okay, so I just kind of, and then in the corners I kind of came in a little bit, you know, just to give it that more grungy look. And so that's kind of what I've been doing with the ink pad. Because I am getting ready to start adding the pieces to this. So see how I just kind of went in on the corner right there. And because I didn't cut these exactly straight, the ink doesn't cover everything. So I have a Sharpie here that I can go around and get what the ink doesn't hit. And you don't have to do this. I like grungy, so I like to grunge it up. dirty it up, make it look old and dirty. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And I just come in a little bit. I just put too much on that side. So I'm going to grab a paper towel if I have one. I think I used it when I was dyeing the fabric and just kind of rub that out. I want it to be on there, but not too much. And then, so if you have old, somewhat dried up ink pad that doesn't really work for stamping, you can use it to ink your edges with. This is not cut evenly, that's why it keeps catching right there. So, and I just glued this paper to the poster board with Fabri-Tac. All right, so these two, let me show you. I got lots of pieces floating around here. These two will go on the inside like this. So that will be the base behind this. So I don't know if that color goes that well, but we shall see. I don't know, but that's what it is. So this is the most important side because this is the side that will hold the journal. It's also going to have the pieces that flap over. So I'm going to start on this one. Also, when I'm doing stuff like this, if only one side of the paper is going to be seen, I try to stick with single-sided paper. I don't have a lot of double-sided paper, and if I am going to actually be gluing the paper down to something else anyway, where the other side won't show, then I prefer to use single-sided paper. There's a lot of purple in here. All right, so I pulled out Spellbound Forest. This is a Michaels Hot Buy paper pad. And even though I love this and would love to use it, there's also a black version of that. I'm going to use paper that I don't like, which is this mushroom paper. It doesn't even make sense in this. And the reason why I'm going to go ahead and use this one is because I'm going to, it's going to be cut. So it's going to be like a frame. So the only part that you'll see is the edge. If I need to have at least 2 inches, maybe allow for 2.5 inches. This is only going to come down so far. But I could make my hinge, okay, so I could do a separate hinge. And this would be open as a window. I'm going to go for it. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half. Then when you flip it over, you'll only see a little bit of this, depending on which side I use. I can live with that. So let's see if we can fold this carefully. That's gonna go like that, or do I want this side? I really don't like the way this looks. But I'm just gonna ignore it for now because I can always cover it. Right? So this needs to be cut here. And then if I put the other one at the bottom, it's going to be about the same height. And if I make this big enough, then I can put the closure there. Then this will be up like this because it'll have a gusset here, which I'll glue in between these. Or maybe on top, and I can use my fabric tape. Okay. So this one, okay, this project is a lot different from the pastel because it just is. This is a little more complicated and everything is bigger. I'm gonna cut a frame out of this. I'm wondering, should I use a die or should I cut it by hand? It's probably easier just to use a die, huh? All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing for the bottom piece, and I'm gonna decide on if I need to use a die or not. I'll probably use a die if I have one that's big enough. And then I'll get my hinges together. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this piece too. I don't feel like if I end up wasting these two pieces as far as this project goes, they'll still make decent scraps. And ooh, that's a lousy fold. See how the paper cracked right there because of the way I folded it? It cracked all the way across. Probably should have scored that first. That's what I'm gonna do. Hit it with ink pad. Make it go away. Alright, so if that one goes that way, this one will go this way. I really don't want a mushroom scene in this book. But I'm just want to make sure that these will work. I guess that won't be too bad. And then this will have a frame in it. This will have a frame in it. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me trim this one down too. And then hopefully I have those pieces ready to put together when I come back. I've decided that I'm going to have to split this up into several videos because it's going to be just entirely too long. I know I was able to do the pastel journal or notebook in one video. I was pretty much able to craft that in one session, but this is going to take quite a bit longer. So what I've done, you saw me fold these in half. I used one of my dies. This is a die that I got from Temu. I'm pretty sure I used the big one. I just put the offcut pieces in this pouch so that I can keep up with them. So I used the die to cut through this. This is going to be a window. I also created my hinge. I scored it at I cut these at 3.5 inches, and they're a little shorter than 8.5 wide. Let me see. So 3.5 by about 8 1/8. Okay. And then I scored at 1 and 1 on either side, and then in the middle I did an 1/8 inch score so that I could round it. So I scored this whole center part 1/8 inch apart so that I could round it. Then I took a piece of the fabric and glued it on. What glue did I use? The glue stick, the Scotch Create, to glue the fabric on. So this will go like this, and it'll be a window. So I need to go around with black around here so you won't see that white part once I seal it together, because even though I cut them exactly the same, you still may see a little bit of the white. So this is the bottom flap. It's going to attach to this like so, and I had to leave quite a bit of gusset, which is why I did the 1/8 inch and kind of rounded it. I had to leave quite a bit of gusset to allow for the journal, the composition notebook. Now these are going to overlap in a weird way, but I think once it's filled up, it'll be a little better, and I'll put the closures on either side. So I need to remember to do that before I close these up, seal them up. So I have some laminate pouches here. I'm going to do some extra ones. I'm going to seal them so that I can have my faux acetate to create the windows. And I'm going to put a bat. I have some bats. I'm going to put a bat in each window. I really don't want this to end up looking like Batman. And they do have little lines because I think they're meant to like be hung on something. So hopefully that won't show up too much. I want one like this. And I guess I'll do a small one like this instead. Let's put this at the top. Guess it could get in frame a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to use those two. And I think I got these from Five Below. I've had them for a few years. But I think that's where they came from. So I'm going to use the 5mm laminate for this. So I got that one done. I'm going to go ahead and seal up these other pouches, and then I will be back. Okay, so I am coloring in as best as I can. I see some spaces that I missed, but coloring in around the edge of the window on the inside so that when you close it, you don't see the white. I'm going to also go back and ink that. So I did that one, and now I have to do this one. Let's slide this out of the way. And it's kind of a little tedious, and it's probably better to use ink, but I felt like if I used a Sharpie, I would get a darker black and not, I don't know, have to use my ink up. So this is all I'm doing, is just going around, trying to be neat about it, but not too worried about how that looks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this down now. Got everything inked up, so we can start putting the pieces together. So this is 11.5, so 5 3/4 would be half. I'm going to go up a little bit more just in case. And that's going to fit in there like that. But it's going to go the other way. Okay. So now I'm going to make the closure pieces with some scrap cardstock. This is where I messed up the first box. So I'm going to use this. It's a heavyweight cardstock. See, I need that. And this. So I'm going to put one of the smaller circles underneath to try and lift it up so it'll be easier to wrap. Maybe I should do double that layer underneath, so double each one. I think I might do that. Let's do that. So let me punch out 4 more. So start gluing those together. So I'm not feeling just the black, so let me punch out a couple of these from this scrap. I would probably rather use red, but let's see what these look like to cover the little button pieces. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with that. So I need to ink the edges of the circle because they are white. And I still miss some spots. I think sometimes it's just easier to hit it with the Sharpie or a black marker or some sort, permanent marker. Saves time and effort. And Sharpies are cheaper than ink, I think. Let's get out the eyelets. I want to use gold, but I don't think I have enough gold. So, and I don't want to have to order anything from Amazon. I just lost a eyelet. So I'm going to try and work with what I got. So glad that one was white. I wonder what these big ones will look like on here. I think that will look cool. Okay, let's get this going. Try to be in the middle. Something I don't like about using a Sharpie is the smell. It doesn't go away fast. So I've already marked where I want to punch. And hopefully it's a good location. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to trim this up. Take off about a 1/2 inch off the top. About 3/4 off the side, I think. And then that's going to fit right in there like that. All right, let's do this one. Take off about a 1/2 inch off the bottom. use some adhesive. I do need to use this up, so I'm going to start with this on the edges. Let's make sure we're on the right side. Let me put it on paper. We're going to use the Fabri-Tac for the rest of gluing it down, I think. Go around the edge, but not too close. So I'm going to be kind of quiet. I'm sure you figured that out. But I'm kind of concentrating on this one because this is different. So this red tape is supposed to be stickier than the regular double-sided tape. And so far that is true. It is quite a bit stickier. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside and go ahead and put the Fabri-Tac on. Alright, so that is how that is going to fit together. Now, I think I'm going to take some bits and pieces from my Your Creative Studio boxes to cover up some of these, like maybe use some tickets and receipt pieces, things like that, just to cover up the mushroom look, because the mushroom look is not what I'm going for, but I just wanted to use that paper because I don't see me using it for anything else. Alright, so I pulled out a few pieces from some of the boxes. I need to go through those boxes and sort. But these are the bits and pieces, collage pieces that I pulled out. I want to find some more tickets, but for now this will do. And what I'm going to do is put all this back out of the way. And then kind of just tear the pieces that I want to use and glue them down, I guess. Try not to have too many straight edges. Do I want to wrap it around? I don't think so. Let's trim it off. So I'm just going to do this until I cover up a lot of the pink mushrooms, I think. Okay, so this is where we are so far. We have the flaps, and they'll open like this once they're glued down. This will be glued here. So the next bit I think that I'll work on is covering this, maybe getting this mounted, and also working on the spine. I don't really work in any specific order on things like this. I kind of just work on things as I have ideas. I do think I'm going to want to add some kind of gold accents to this, because the closure pieces here and this backing paper have gold, like glittered looks to them. So I want to do something to kind of bring that out, even though these look like a pewter color, the eyelets, even though the eyelets are pewter. And I may incorporate some red. I'm also thinking that this feels not sturdy enough, and that I may do something underneath this, maybe have a flap coming over this way and one coming over that way. I don't know if that'll be too much, but I'm thinking that because of the way the coffin, let's see if I can line things up. It'll be much easier once I start gluing things down, but I don't want to glue anything down until I'm sure. But I think it would look better for the coffin to have something under this, like another flap, because of the way the edge of the composition notebook shows. If it all was just the color of the scrapbook paper that I used, that would be different. And let me hold it up so you can see, because I know there's glare. There's not much I can do about that. But this is kind of what it's looking like. Hopefully you can get a pretty decent look. Okay. So also I need to work on the other side and then bring all the pieces together. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and you may be interested in this other video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.